Hello there, Spider-Dash here. Recently I watched Spider-Man No Way Home, and I have to say that seeing the three Spider-Men together was a dream come true. And I don't have anything else to say about the movie at the moment, more than it is awesome, one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. The reason that I am here today is to discuss if the three Spider-Men were to fight, who would win? Which one is the strongest Spider-Man? Who is the fastest? Which one is smarter? Today, we will try to reach a conclusion and say which Spider-Man will win in a fight. But first, a word from the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Oh god, I wish that this was sponsored. Before reaching a conclusion, we will analyze the strength, speed, agility, endurance, spider sense, intelligence, gadgets, and experience of each Spider-Man. And one last thing before starting the video. This is not to say which one is the best Spider-Man or which one has the best movies. This is mostly just me overanalyzing stuff. If you reach a different conclusion than mine, I will appreciate it if you leave it in the comments in the most respectable manner. So I will appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment saying which Spider-Man you think that would win. And without anything else to say, let's start the video. Strength. I will delve in this point as little as possible, because the answer is pretty obvious. Maguire's Spider-Man is the strongest one. Why, you ask? First, let's see how strong the other Spider-Men are. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is strong, but how strong? Many people like to point out that the ferry scene was him holding the entire ship, but that's not true. The ship was still separating until Iron Man came to the rescue. Tom Holland's strongest moment is the bell tower scene from Spider-Man Far From Home. In this scene, he holds an entire building, which is pretty impressive. Now, let's talk about Andrew Garfield's strength. Sadly, there isn't a moment where Andrew Garfield uses his full strength. Yeah, he's strong, but we don't see him going to the full limit of his strength. I think that the moment where Andrew Garfield uses more of his strength is when he stops a car before falling on a cop. Now, I could say that Andrew Garfield is the weakest one, but I don't think that that will be fair. I just think that we haven't seen him use the full capacity of his strength. Now, Tobey Maguire stopped a goddamn train, and a train that was going at full speed at that. And my ultimate proof to say that Maguire's Spider-Man is stronger than Holland's is that Tobey stopped Tom from impaling the Goblin with the glider, and it's supposed that Tom was as angry as he could be, and hence as strong as he could be, and even then, Tobey stopped him like it was nothing. So yes, after all these years, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is still the strongest. But the strength alone is not going to win a fight. Yeah, maybe arm wrestling, but we are talking about an actual fight. So for the moment, Tobey wins the point of strength. Speed. All of them are fast, but only one can be the fastest. All of them suck at dodging Doc Ock's arms. Let's start with the winner of the last category. Tobey is fast, but we see him multiple times getting hit by opponents that are slower than him, so things aren't looking as good for him this time around. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is a bit faster than Tobey's. We see this in the drone scene, where Tom Holland's Spider-Man is dodging everything that Mysterio is throwing at him, even the bullets. So yeah, Tom Holland's Spider-Man looks to be faster here. But let's take a look at Andrew's Spider-Man. At first, Andrew Garfield might not look as fast because he gets hit by the lizard a lot. But I think that this is mainly because Andrew's Spider-Man was not as experienced at this point. And let's not forget that Dr. Connors is a genius, so that might give him an upper hand. In the second Amazing Spider-Man movie, Andrew's Spider-Man fights Electro, and we can see multiple times Andrew's Spider-Man literally dodging lightning thrown by Electro. If we look on Google, the average bullet travels 700 miles per hour, and being able to dodge that is impressive. But lightning travels at 270,000 miles per hour, and I don't know about you, but for me, being able to dodge that is even more impressive. So, at least in my opinion, Andrew Garfield wins this round. Agility. all of this will come to which one is the most dynamic Spider-Man. Let's take a look at Holland's Spider-Man. Although his Spider-Man is kinda clumsy in Homecoming, he grows to be pretty nimble in the next movies, to the point of moving with the grace that the Spider-Man requires. And you can see this on the posters, where he looks really dynamic. So, things are looking good for him, at least at the moment. Maguire's Spider-Man is also pretty agile, and moves with the grace that Spider-Man requires. But he feels kinda stiff at times, like he's so bulked up that he can make dynamic poses. So, things aren't looking good for him, again. Yes, I know that Maguire's Spider-Man tries to reference John Romita's Spider-Man, but I think that nowadays one of the things that makes Spider-Man Spider-Man is the fact that he's pretty agile. So let's take a look at Andrew's Spider-Man. Same case than with Holland. Andrew's Spider-Man feels kinda clumsy at first, making a few mistakes here and there, but he grows pretty fast to be a much more graceful Spider-Man. The way that he webs the lizard, just like a real spider would do. The way that he made a web to locate the lizard through vibrations, just like a real spider would do. And on top of this, Andrew Garfield is really graceful and agile, just like Spider-Man should be. So, I think that Andrew Garfield wins this round. Again. Things are looking good for him. Endurance. All of them are pretty resilient when it comes to pain, but only one can be the winner. Let's start with Andrew Garfield, the winner of the last round. Sadly, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man never goes to his absolute limit in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, so things aren't looking as good for him this time around. Now, recently, Holland's Spider-Man has proven to be pretty resilient. In the last movie, he really went through a lot and never gave up. Now, Holland and Tobey were hit by something very similar. And let's compare how each reacted. After fighting Mysterio, Tom Holland's Spider-Man got hit by a train and he almost died. Now, let's see how Tobey's Spider-Man did after getting hit by a train. While fighting Doc Ock, Tobey's Spider-Man gets hit by a few objects, and then he rubs it like it was nothing. And it's not only that, Tobey's Spider-Man gets hit a lot, and really hard, and seldomly, if ever, that stops him. If any villain fights Tobey's Spider-Man, they better have a way to knock him with one hit, because if not, he always gets up. So, at least in my opinion, Tobey Maguire wins this round. Spider Sense. All of them have a spider sense, but only one of them makes the most of it. Let's start with Tobey's Spider-Man. The spider sense is one of the first superpowers that Tobey's Spider-Man develops, but it just comes handy in a few scenes. The occasions where he uses it are pretty rare, because as I said before, he gets hit a lot, which means that his spider sense doesn't work as well as it should, or that he's actively ignoring his spider sense. Now let's take a look at Andrew Garfield. The spider sense is one of the first superpowers that Andrew's Spider-Man develops as well, and we see that he's constantly warned of danger even when he's at a pretty long distance of whatever the spider sense is warning him about. But when it comes to use the spider sense in fight, he really doesn't use it that often. Yes, he's able to dodge everything that Electro is throwing at him, but I think that this is mostly because he's going really fast. Now let's take a look at Tom Holland's Spider-Man. In Spider-Man Homecoming, the spider sense is not mentioned at all. But in the next Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies, the spider sense is mentioned pretty often. Peter Tingle. Bruh. And Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the only one who uses the spider sense to avert danger as well as to dodge attacks in fight. Or at least he's the one who does that more consistently. So finally, I think that the winner of this round is Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Let's hope that he can keep up with the other Spider-Man. Intelligence. All of them are geniuses, smart beyond what any real human could be. But only one can be the winner. Tobey's Spider-Man is really smart. But when he's in a fight, I don't think that we ever see him use his intelligence to gain any advantage. Instead, he gets out of it just by brute force. When you're strong enough, that is not a problem, but if you're not that strong, that will be an issue. So, let's see how smart the others are. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is really smart. He made his own web fluid and web shooters. And the way that he defeated Doctor Strange in the last movie shows how he can outsmart other Marvel heroes. Things are looking good for him. But now, let's take a look at Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Andrew's Spider-Man proves to be really gifted since the first movie, helping Dr. Connors to invent a serum that was supposed to help to regenerate severed human limbs. And even if Dr. Connors ended up as a giant lizard, it was because they didn't do enough tests on humans. But the serum worked. And Andrew's Spider-Man seems to think really fast, because he usually solves problems in a really creative way. He created his own web shooters, he made a web to locate the lizard through vibrations, how he talks fast enough to save everyone from being electrocuted, and he is so smart that he thinks that curing the lizard is easy. Literally, he thinks that curing a genetic disease is easy. So, I don't know about you, but at least in my opinion, Andrew Garfield is the smartest of the 3 Spider-Man. Gadgets. Let's make this quick because the answer is pretty obvious. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the one with more gadgets. Some Spider-Man fans might tell you that Spider-Man doesn't use technology. Truth is, Spider-Man has been pretty reliant on technology since its creation, from his iconic web shooters, his spider signal on his belt, and even spider trackers. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man doesn't use any technology at all. In the last movie, we see him use some kind of communicator under his mask, but the most likely scenario is that this communicator was given to him by Tom Holland. Now, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is a genius, but apart from his web shooters, he doesn't have any gadgets at all. Tom Holland's Spider-Man has a ton of gadgets, and a decent variety of suits. So, even if some of these gadgets and suits were given to him by Iron Man, it doesn't matter. He wins this round. Experience. Now, again, the answer is pretty obvious, but let's go through each Spider-Man to see how experienced they are. Despite appearing in 6 movies in a time lapse of 7 years, Tom Holland's Spider-Man barely aged. Now, in his first 2 movies, Tom Holland's Spider-Man learns little to nothing from his past mistakes. It's now until now that he is beginning to learn what it means to be a Spider-Man. Andrew's Spider-Man learns faster than Holland's, and he ends up being a pretty solid Spider-Man. But Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man ends up being the more mature of the 3. He seems a little bit better in being Spider-Man, as well as having a balanced life as Peter Parker. And he seems to be the best when it comes to making little collateral damage. And in the last movie, he ends up being the emotional support of the other 2 Spider-Men. And that comes to no surprise because he is the oldest of the 3. So, Tobey Maguire wins this round. Okay, this has been quite a journey, and now Andrew and Tobey are tied, and I have to find a way to settle things. Let's reach a conclusion. Okay, you can be a party pooper and say that Tom Holland with the Iron Spider in insta-kill mode would win. All of them have good qualities, and all of them are good at being Spider-Man. But only one can be the winner, and that is Tobey Maguire. Why, you ask? Because the best attributes of Tobey Maguire, strength, endurance, and experience, can easily overpower the best attributes of Andrew's Spider-Man, speed, agility, and intelligence. And don't get me wrong, Tom Holland's Spider-Man could grow to excel the other 2 Spider-Men, but that is yet to be seen. And Andrew's Spider-Man is nothing short of amazing. Maybe we just need to see him a little bit more, and he will be even more on par with Tobey's Spider-Man. But at least that is my opinion, and you are free to leave yours in the comment section. If you liked the video, leave me a like and be sure to click the subscribe button. I'm Spider Dash, and I'll be seeing you the next time.